topic is on Roald Dahl. Why I chose this topic? I chose this topic because I had read his books and I enjoyed them, so I wanted to know more about him and how he could write those amazing books. Childhood. Roald Dahl was born on September 13, 1916 in Llandaff, Cardiff, Wales. His father, he was born between Norwegian parents Harold Dahl and Sophie Dahl. Before his father had married Sophie, he married a French girl named Mary. But after Mary gave birth to two children, Astrid and Oscar, she died. Then he married Sophie. Sophie gave birth to 4 children, Alfhild, Els, Asta, and Roald. But Astrid died in 1920, and a couple of months later, Roald's father died. And Roald his mother had to take care of 5 children alone. When Roald was 7, he was sent to Llandaff Cathedral School. When he was 9 years old, on his way back from school, he and his 4 friends had a plan to do at a sweet shop owned by Mrs. Pratchett, a mean old lady. When one boy was distracting Mrs. Pratchett, the boys would put in a dead rat in the gobstopper's jar. Then they quickly escaped. The next day, when Roald was on his way to school, he saw that Mrs. Pratchett was gone, and he was a little scared. When he was in school, everyone in school had to line up in the field, and they saw Mrs. Pratchett. And Mrs. Pratchett and the headmaster looked for the boys, Roald and the 4 boys, and they were sent to the headmaster's office. When they were sent to the headmaster's office, they were spanked really hardly. And when he went home, his mother, during bath time, saw that he was bruised, and she got really upset that she decided to send him to a different school, which was called St. Peter's, an English boarding school. In St. Peter's, he had really bad memories because there were lots of beatings, and the older boys were called perfect, while the younger boys were always being punished with little things. And the headmaster, it hurt when the headmaster beat them because the headmaster did it really strong, even though he was a priest in the church. When he was really homesick, and he sent letters to his mother every week. When he was 13 years old, his family moved to Kent in England, and so he moved to a different school, which was Repton Public School. In Repton Public School, there were again beatings, which was not good. And when he was young, he was not good at writing. That one of his English teachers wrote in a report, "I have never met anybody who so persistently writes words meaning the exact opposite of what is intended." While he was not good at writing, he was good at sports, and he was really good at football. While there were many bad memories, there were also good memories, which the Repton School was near a famous chocolate factory, and they got to taste those chocolates. In 1934, when he was age 18, he graduated the school. In job hunting. In 1934, when he was still 18, he joined the Shell Company, and he was trained in the UK for 2 years. After that, he was sent to Tanzania with 2 other employees. And in Tanzania, he was getting the oil, and he was living in a jungle. In 1939, when he was 23 years old, he joined the Royal Air Force when World War II was started as an aircraft man. When he was 24 years old, he was assigned as the leading aircraft man. 6 months later, he was now the acting pilot officer. When he was flying over Libya on his plane crashed and he was sent to the special hospital. He had to fix his nose into the right shape. A couple of years later, when he was 37 years old, July 2nd, 1953, he married an American actress, Patricia Neal. They had their wedding at the Trinity Church in New York City. In 1965, Patricia had 3 strokes of cerebral aneurysms, which is a brain disease. Through the rehabilitation with Roald Dahl, she was able to talk, walk, and even start her acting career again. But when Roald was 67 years old in 1983, they had a divorce. The reasons were because of the problems between their relationship and because of the problems the children had. In 1983, the same year, he married a woman called Felicity Crossland at Brixton Town Hall. He had known her before marrying and they were born on the same street. Roald and Patricia had 5 children. Olivia was born on April 20th, 1955. Tessa was born on April 11th, 1957. And Theo was born on July 30th, 1960. And a couple of months later, Theo got hit by a taxi and it hit his head and he had major brain problems. In 1962, Olivia on November 17th, had died because of measles. And on 1964, May 14th, Ophelia was born. And 1965, the last child, Lucy, was born on August 4th. Magazines and newspapers. Roald sent, before he started his career as a children's author, he sent posts and articles to newspaper companies and magazine companies. One of the companies he sent to was called Saturday Evening Post, and a man called C.S. Forrester checked them. C.S. Forrester loved Roald's stories because it was well written and interesting. C.S. Forrester liked his stories book, and he didn't have to really change anything when he checked them because it was perfect. One of the articles Roald wrote was called Shot Down Over Libya, which was an article on when his plane crashed flying over Libya. Children's author. The reason he became a children's author was because he told bedtime stories to his children, and the children really liked them. The stories were really good, and they were the books that he wrote, and he decided to publish them because it was worth turning it into a book. His books. The first book he wrote was The Gremlins. The second was James and the Giant Peach, and third was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The ideas he got for these books was The Gremlins was a book about flight and pilots, and he could write that because he was the pilot of the World War II, and he wrote James and the Giant Peach because he wondered what would happen if a peach kept on growing. And he could write the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because he got to taste the chocolates when he was back in Repton School. And movies. The books that were turned into movies were Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in 1971, The BFG in 1989, Danny the Champion of the World in 1989, The Witches in 1990, Matilda in 1996, James and the Giant Peach and in 1996, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in 2005, and Fantastic Mr. Fox in 2009. His opinion on some of the movies was that he didn't really like it because many parts were changed. For example, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he wanted to include some things that were in the book, but it was deleted in the actual movie, and some things that were added to the actual movie was some things that he didn't really like. And the biblical perspective. I chose the verse Matthew 25:29. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken away from them. I chose this verse because this can connect to Roald, that he had the ability and talent to write children's books, and he used it wisely and gave it back to God because he is now a really famous author. And thank you.